I watched The Business of Being Born, and I think that was a really big factor in the beginning, making the decision to research birth centers and midwives, and just the way it's promoted is kind of less scary than they made the alternative, being the hospital. So they made it seem like it was more comfortable and it was safe, and you know, you could have a water birth, or you could have all these other things that you couldn't get in the hospital. And so I think The Business of Being Born was a main reason why I started looking into it, because it really kind of cemented a fear about going to the hospital. One thing they talked about is, oh, the bright lights at a hospital, that stalls labor, that's why there's so many more complications. Just little things like that they would talk about. Oh, we let you have dim lights, and we let you do whatever you want, and we're here to support you and empower you. I truly did not think anything would go wrong. I mean, they made it clear that I was young and I was healthy, and there's absolutely no reason anything should go wrong, that it would just be amazing. And it all started happening really quickly. I was really confused and just kind of dazed. I was holding Sabine, and I was kind of just paying attention to her, and the next thing I know, she's like, okay, you need to hand the baby over. I need to do a manual extraction, which I had no idea what that meant.
I remember I was looking at Chelsie, and Chelsie felt like a sharpness, or she felt it's like you touch something like electricity. She's like, whoa, you know? And so we look down, and I start to see blood coming down from the umbilical cord, what's still out, right? And then things weren't all right. And now, you know, our heart is racing, and now we're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here?
She took her arm, she went all the way up into the uterus. She was digging around, trying to find the placenta. And I was just screaming and like a wild animal and shaking. And my legs were just, I couldn't stop moving, like I couldn't control anything.
She's tugging on a little bit, and now Chelsea's uncomfortable. Now she stops. And she's trying to figure out what to do, and the bleeding is now quite bad. So now she is wondering if she should call the hospital, call 911. And I'm thinking to myself, is this really happening now? Do we have to go to the hospital? Is that how serious the situation is?
She went in again, and same thing. It felt like punching. I mean, it was like the most horrible pain I've ever felt. I mean, it was 10 times worse than giving birth to a baby, because it was just, I don't know how to describe it exactly. It was just, I was practically levitating from the bed. And 5 firefighters showed up, and I had no clothes on, because I had been in the bathtub having the baby, so I still was just sprawled out. And I remember just being totally humiliated. I felt like I wasn't human, like I was just like an animal. Just, they came in and they're kind of like just really quiet. And I'm like, oh my God, where's my robe? Like, my husband's like horrified. He's like getting my robe, and I'm putting on my robe, and they lift me up, they put me on the stretcher, and go out to the fire truck, and I shouted on the way back, take care of her.
Yeah, I thought this was the beginning of Sabine and the end of Chelsie. That's the worst feeling I've ever had up in that, in my life. The look on her face, the look on the doctor's face.
They took me to the hospital, which was right next door, thank God. And they were there, they were already holding the door open. The nurse they were wheeling me in really quickly. I mean, it felt like a movie. It was this very bizarre feeling like I was in this movie, like I was in this like situation, and it was unbelievable what was actually happening. And they got me into the room, and everyone was just rushing around. I mean, there were so many people rushing around, trying to figure out what was going on. I looked at my husband. They'd put a mask on me, so it was really hard to say anything. I couldn't like talk. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I looked at him, and he started crying. And then that's when I thought, oh, I think I'm dying. Like, I didn't even get to spend that much time with my daughter, and like, is this it? I started praying, and I just kept repeating, God, take the pain away. Take the pain away, take the pain away. Let me live, please let me live. There's so many great reviews of that place. I mean, 5-star. We still take our kid there just to go visit them. That's how amazing the experience was. And when it goes wrong, you're not in the circle anymore. And they just kind of toss you to the side like you never happened. And that's kind of what it was. It never happened. My daughter's name wasn't on the wall. She wasn't on anything. Neither was I. Because I didn't fit the narrative. I wasn't important anymore. So, yeah, I think they did abandon us.
We didn't have a sense of abandonment. We were abandoned. It was services rendered, case closed. It's, next.
In the end, the candles and the bathtub and being comfortable and all that sounds great, but it's really not the most important thing. You don't want to be that small percentage when things go wrong, because everything is trivial compared to death. On my birth plan for my second and my third, I had nothing on it except this is my history, and I want you to keep us safe. I want to live. That was the most important thing.